Okay, hello everybody. Part 3 of the mathematical bridge model making process. As you'll remember from the end of part 2, we've finished one side and we've attached the walkway pieces, or the larger walkway pieces, onto it. What you should have gone and done by now is followed steps 1 and 2 again, and you'll be left with another side identical to the first one, which I've done here. What we want to do now is actually attach the two of them together, which is a fairly difficult process. It involves a little bit of patience, so just make sure that you know what you're doing before you glue it, and make sure that you know how you're holding it before you do it as well. The best way that I've figured out to do this, if you lay the first piece along your entire arm like so, that means that you can actually put a little bit of pressure along the whole model as you're putting them together. You want to do the same thing with the other side. Okay, so they'll be laying across your two arms. What you need to then do is attach in the first two notches. So there's a notch just here. If I put this piece down, as you did with the two walkways on the piece that we've just newly built, there is a notch on the end part here and then one in here. These two are very important on both sides to locate the walkways. So really they are the first points of call to attach the bridge. Then the other parts will come in after. So we locate them with the first four, this side and this side. And then once they're in, we can turn the bridge over and make sure that everything else is in place. So what I'll do, if I glue these little notches, so there should be one in each radial piece. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so I'll glue these. And if you watch me first, just make sure that you know what's going on, and make sure that you know what's happening before you do it yourself. Okay, so I'm going to glue each notch. 1, 2, 3. Just a dab here, and all of that. All of that, and this one here. Okay, so you don't need to be too quick. The glue's not going to dry on its own as quick as it does when it's actually in contact with other things. So we can set these up, as I said. What I'll usually do is match these two ends up first with my hands. Don't push too hard, but make sure that they do slot in. Then you want to, with the backs of your arms, find the same 2 points, right? So this side is now in with my arms. I put a little bit of pressure on it. Now carefully turn the bridge on its bottom side, and then you can work on each part touching on each side, and just put a little bit more pressure on each connection. Squeeze them just gently together. Oh, there we go. So you saw that click in there at the back. That's what we want. We want them to be as solid in as we can. So now I can put a little bit more pressure on it all. On this side, that seems to be okay. This part here, okay too. There we are. So one thing that tends to happen with these middle parts is that it won't actually be placed in its notch, so you might need to move it around, make sure that it's in that little recess there, and then put a little bit of pressure on it just to make sure it's in the right place when the glue sets. Okay. There we are. Okay, so now, of course, there's one very obvious piece missing right in the middle of the shot there, the little walkway. So if we grab that, this little rectangular piece here, you can see it will fit nicely in there. Essentially, what you want to do is glue the ends of the diagonals on this small walkway piece. So just put a dab of glue on the very end of each corner. So we want to put one there, turn it over, same again, one there and one there. There we go. And now we need to make sure that these diagonals are facing upwards, so they're facing me. Then what you want to do is slot that into the notches that are placed in there for it to go. And then again, just a little squeeze on either side, make sure that it's held in place properly. There we go, so we'll leave that set for just a moment while I'll show you the next pieces that we need. On the second frame that we were working on a moment ago, you will see that there are these 3 pieces left. 1, 2, 3. These are just rectangular shapes. They don't have any angles cut into them. And the idea behind these is that these are going to be the struts that hold it together along the bottom edges of each radial piece. So that will go on the top of the radial pieces like that. We have 6 of them in total, so 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And 3 left here. So I'll cut those out as well. They are all exactly the same, so they're not going to get jumbled up. There we go, last one. Perfect. So what we want to do, let's start with the middle 2. So we've just put in this small piece here. If we do these 2 first, what I like to do is we'll work it from this way. Now you want to glue on these parts here and these parts here. Then you don't get too messy gluing these little rectangular pieces. So what I'll do is I'll just apply a bit of glue there and there, spread that over, same over here. These are rectangular, so you want the long edge downwards onto the bridge. And they want to sit flush with all of the tangential trusses, so just make sure that they're flush on the 2 edges and on the long edges as well, and then again put a little bit of pressure down. And these make the model a lot stronger and hold it in place. They keep it straight, which is quite important for the structure of the bridge. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll spin it round, do the same thing again. There we go, number 2. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this one next. The advantage to it being on the back is if you just tilt it up onto the long edge at the bottom here, you can actually push down, so it'll naturally sit on the top like that, but if you push it down with the thing on it, then you can put a little bit of force into it, make sure that it's glued properly. So if I just glue this part here, and this part here, we go. I can put a little bit of force onto that as it's on its long edge. As you put each one of these in, you can feel how much more sturdy it's becoming as you're putting more on. So what I'll do now is I'll spin it round and do exactly the same thing again. There we go, so the next one. Go nice and straight. Put a little bit of force into it once again. Alright, so the last two, of course we need to go up here and up here. So we'll start with this one as it's in shot. And doing with this part is I can put my fingers into a couple of the gaps in the side, and I can squeeze then this part onto the bottom of the bridge. And then I'll do the same thing, of course, after turning it round. So get used to it the first time, spin it round, and then do it again. There we go, 1 and 2. We are. Okay, so we're really getting there now. You can see that it's all together. It feels very solid and feels very heavy as well. It's quite a nice thing to hold, really. This is probably the strongest it's going to be before we put on these small feet, which of course you've cut one of them out in order to put the walkways on because of that right angle there. These essentially are going to fit just down the side of each part of the bridge like that. So you'll see that there is a side that is cut in, and those of course are going away from the view, so into the middle of the bridge. So you can see that this one is quite flat on the top, and that's going to go that side. Then we have on the other side, if I cut this one out, the logo. So you'll see the logo in that side there. This is going to go on that side. So what we will do is we'll turn it over and we'll glue them on from the bottom. What I usually do at this stage is I'll look down the side here and look for any higher points which are going to contact first along this bottom edge here. So I'll just run my finger along it. I can feel a little high point there, and so I'll glue that high point, which is down here, but then also I'll glue the bottom of this vertical piece here, and then a little bit all the way up this part. So I'll just do that there. Just a little all the way down, that's a high point, so I'll put a bit on there, and then on the bottom of the vertical piece. It's worth looking at it from side on, but have it flat on the ground. Just get low down and make sure that you can see that the two parts meet flush all the way down. Then you know that it's not being put on wonky. You can also see down this edge that it's the same distance from the foot to here all the way down, and then you can guarantee that it's going to be fairly straight. Okay, so that's the first one. It looks pretty straight. Second one, I'll do the same side, same thing again. Go. Okay, so we then get the last two pieces, which may still be on the frame. They are for me, as you can see. There's one. Two. Okay. The very last piece we need to put onto it before we affix it to the box. Okay, so there we have it. That's the entire model completed and ready to be mounted on its box. They might not always sit completely flat, but either way it's going to be fairly straight anyway. So what we then need, if we go back to our little box, here is a box, and what we want to do is essentially stick it on fairly central. So you can do this by eye. What I might do is take away my white paper there. So then we can see that from the top. You'll be able to see that usually I'll mount it with about an inch on this side, and then on this side you'll see about half an inch, and then same again there. So there'll be an inch here, and then half an inch on either side. You can use the glue if you want, but I prefer to be able to take my model off so I can do things with it, or put it into a display case if I later buy one of them. So what you might want to do is just get a piece of electrical type tape and fold it in a circle put them on the 4 feet, and then just stick them down onto the box there. And there it is. So you'll be able to see if I take the camera from the stand. There is your finished model. And I hope you've enjoyed the build, and I hope that my instructions have been clear and precise, and thanks very much for building the bridge. Thank you very much. Bye bye.